Hidey ho, hidey ho. I'm just doing a little video here. I'm servicing it's like a 70s. It's a 1970s Westclox. Obviously, it's the Keno line. This is a Keno, I think a style 4 or 5 or 6 or something like that. This is the earlier version. And the this is the same movement that a lot of Westcloxes use from the mid 60s into the 80s, or the 70s into the 80s, later 70s into the 80s. The Westclox Style 9, it's a piece of crap. It used that. The Big Ben Style 9 used that. But anyway, I've took this movement and I have soaked it in hot soapy water, and I let it dry, and I'm going to oil it up. I'm going to oil all these pivot points and what have you. And what I'm using for an oiler here, I'm going to oil all these pivot points. Unfortunately, this thing can't be taken apart, and even if it could, I don't have a spare movement or mechanism where I can actually, have a reference. It's like doing drum brakes on a car. You better leave one intact with the drum off just for reference. For those of you who have done drum brakes before, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah. But anyway, I'm going with some 5W30 motor oil. And they say it's best to oil clocks like the Gregola Horology Club. That's a great channel. You better, check it out, This guy says he's an amateur, but he does a lot more than I do. But anyway, I'm going to oil all the pivots and everything. I know a lot of them are plastic. Like there's one that's put a dab of oil on each. Maybe not too much for that one. I had oiled this clock before. This is before I really started getting into horology. There's a little dab right there. Not a whole lot. A bit right there. And a bit right there. This thing has plastic, movements and stuff. Plastic arbors on some of these. Some of them are metal. That's all the ones I need to oil on this side. I flipped it over here. Righty's been going in and out all evening. So this is an interesting movement. It's unlike the older models of Westclox clocks. So yeah. Well, looks like trying to see where the pivots are all at. Some of them I can't even see. Some of them I can. That's why I'm glad I let it dry out, Trying to at least put some here because you can't really take this off. I'm sure you can, but I wouldn't do it. But it's plastic, but still there's some metal in there. Because I'd oiled this heavily before in the past, and it kind of just kind of overkilled. I think I got some rust on there from last time. Yeah. And now I want to try to oil the balance wheel cup. Like right here, a lot of you know this is the balance wheel. There's one of the balance wheel cups. I'm trying to get that in there. Fell over on me, I'm sorry. There's another one there where the hairspring is. There, I'm trying to get that in there. Trying to get it in there. I'm trying not to get it where it doesn't belong, So I'm using bread ties and oilers, so But yeah. Should let gravity work in my favor here. There we go. Managed to slip it on there. Make sure I didn't get any on the balance wheel itself. And put some there on the pallet fork where it meets that plastic escapement wheel. There's another one on the other side. I probably should, so it's kind of get it on there a little bit. I got some on that other part of the escapement wheel. I'm trying to make sure I get that on those plastic parts. I'm trying to make sure I don't put any really on those plastic gears because they're plastic, The metal gears, I'm kind of like, I don't remember these being oiled specifically on these particular clocks, but still. I'm trying to get some on the impulse pin right there that's moving around, so if we could just stop it for a moment. It's having difficulty stopping, which means it's doing pretty good. Let's see here. Well, you'll have to take my word for it. I actually dabbed some oil on the impulse pin right there, right in there. You can see it or not. The darn light up here. Yeah. Impulse pin, boy. It's something. You look at these movements on these clocks. How they really cheapened them back in the 70s. When I was a child, I used to, I'd tear them up more than anything. I'm trying to get one of my PJs here, showcasing my PJs. Yeah, look at me. But yeah, my mom, the woman who's my mom, she got to the point where she would get a clock radio. I remember when she had a clock radio. She had just bought it from Dolores Hunter and Frederick. They used to have like a thrift store. Excuse me. Sorry. I came into the bedroom. She just looked over at me and she said, hey, alright, you know what? I'm just going to give this to you now because I know you're going to tear it up. Yeah, and I did. I mean, I'm not going to get into all that. It's just, yeah. I was a tinkerer as a child. I'd tear stuff up, but I wouldn't put it back together. I'd be upset and crying and throwing a fit like, ah! But it's nice to see now that I've actually graduated to someone who can actually do it and make it work. Like I've got my Style 7 Westclox in there, and I oiled it right, and it's actually, I've got it, I'm regulating it now. We're just tweaking it, so. And I'm still waiting for my other Style 7 to come in. Uh-oh, Butterbutt wants out. Alright, dude. I'm not trying to exploit you, Rowdy, but come on, man. You're kind of opening yourself up for this one. Alright. Let's go back out. It's a little cool out there. We'll scratch the door. Cats are good about that. Yeah. But yeah, I'm just, tinkering with this thing. I wanted to, I used to do, it's funny, when I was a kid, right? We were all kids once, but, I'd tear clocks up. I'm just thinking about childhood memories. I'm sorry. Yeah. If I'd known them what I'd known now, but, I'd take them apart and I'd throw them in the bathtub and wash them just to see if they would rust. My granddad had one, right, and what had happened, being a plastic, same movement. He had one. It was a Oh gosh, I can't think of it. It was from the 1970s though. There's a Westclox 1970s nap alarm. Yeah, the nap alarm. The model nap alarm. I got a picture on Google here from Westclox, Canada. You know, the nap alarm. It had the same. All these had the same darn movement. Eh? Like Canadians, eh? Like the eh? Kinsey brothers and all that, but yeah, they all had the same basic movement in the 1970s. But yeah, there was one of the gears here. It wasn't the escapement right there, but it was one of the like the drivetrain. Like one or two of the gears was broken, and to get to a certain point, it'd always be around 11 o'clock. It would like, because it broke. And my granddad gave it to me, and I hadn't figured it out, you know. And I found out what was wrong with it. If I had spare parts and the patience, of course, when I was little and being a kid, I'm like, yeah. Anyway, but now it's like, gosh, I'm a lot more patient. And I used to do really stupid things too, man. Like, I would take, like, I have an alarm clock, right? And I know this was the devil. I'd be like, I'll see how high up I can drop it before it breaks. And I'd do that, then I'd be upset that it didn't work anymore. And it's like, what the heck, you know? What's wrong with me? I look back, I'm like, ding dong. I don't know, live and learn, as they say, right? I don't know, But anyway, I've got this thing oiled up, you know, and I'm gonna just let it kind of like sit for a little bit. Put it back together. Golly, there's something interesting about these Kenos too, man. The way the alarm bell is on this mechanism here. It's this big shell bell inside there. You gotta hear it a certain way. And something else about these Westcloxes too, these Keno models. And it's different on that one, because that Keno is two keys. This is a single key. They kind of went retro back to the early, like the 30s or whatever. On that. That one's made in China. I mean, so much for made in the USA, right? But hey, cheap labor. But yeah, the ones back then, like my granddad had too. Like it had black. Like I said earlier, it had a black face on it with luminous dials. And thank goodness, when this one was made, it didn't have the radium on there. See, I didn't realize. You know, a lot of you heard about the radium girls. That's just horrible. But anyway, the cardboard will go on first. But I've got screws in here for screwing the movement and everything back on. Oops, it's got the keys and everything here. So yeah. So they'll it's got two screws. You know, they go back here. You know, I'm trying to hold the camera and everything. Put this together. Yeah, I try to get my beak wet and everything, don't I? Sharing my interests. But yeah. Instead of hunting a screwdriver, I just tighten up the key on the alarm clock. And funny too. Found one of these at a yard sale. Talked to my mom. God rest her soul, her sweet, gentle, kind soul. Into like buying me one. And of course, that afternoon by the television, somehow I damaged it where it didn't work, and I was upset again. And I was like, just things from your childhood, and you're like, wow, I'm just reminiscing right now. Yeah. We got that put back in place. And put the cardboard on there. Put the face on there. And I'm trying to get it set up just right. Little long hand on there. Sucker to. Gosh darn it. No, uh-oh. Golly, going everywhere, isn't it? It's not a spot. Rowdy wants back in again. Hey, buddy. Just try to line that up. I'm glad they don't use radium anymore. That's a good thing. Yeah. But I'd oiled this before in the past, right? And I was under the impression you just dunk the clock in oil. Live and learn, right? Right, you got the zooms right now. And I got that on there. Try to make sure your hands are like as straight as, You can flex them a little bit, but be careful because you don't want to break them. I've broken a few of those. I'm not the only one, so. Try to make sure that hands on there, so you can there. That's the thing about, getting that alarm, the handle lined up. Sometimes you can't, there's always a little tiny little play in there, Oops, I messed that up. There we go. 7 o'clock, sometimes you can't always get it exactly, but it's close. Because there's always that little bit of a play there with the alarm hand, where it doesn't quite line up with the hour hand. Those of you who do horology understand what I'm talking about. Yeah, that's good. And the correct time right now is 9:30. Or 9:50, my bad. Well, I was close. Let's just see how well this works. Of course, the crystal, as they call it, the plastic glass crystal. I probably should clean that, but I'm like, well, alright. If it was somebody else's, yeah, I would do that. Excuse me. And I've really learned to appreciate things more as I've gotten along in this thing called life learning. Now I put the key in last but least, right? Well, see, normally this is white. I tried to sand it and I tried to clean it with degreaser, and do not ever use degreaser or anything like sometimes I use like carburetor cleaner degreaser on metal, on the clocks and stuff. It will eat this plastic, so don't ever use that. Use Simple Green or something like that. Greg from the Gregoa Horology Club recommends using Simple Green and lacquer thinner on like metal clocks. Since this has plastic on it, I don't recommend using those because lacquer thinner can probably crazy melt the plastic. I know that the greaser and stuff will, but yeah. Well, I just wanted to do this little film about cleaning that. The differences in style here. Sorry, I farted. Excuse me. That'll cause me to lose this subscriber, I'm sure. Anyway, but most importantly, all this aside, The most important thing is in the name of Christ, the Savior of the world, who bled and died on the cross for all of us and God brought back to life, because Jesus is God. Everyone watching, be blessed, be safe, be healthy, and be at peace. Until next time, bye. Thanks for watching.